Brant, I feel like it's been a very long time since we have been at it here on Garage Takes, but here we are. It is August, which means football is in the air, and I'm excited to be back, man. Let's do a quick little check-in. How are you?
Doing fantastic, Dave. Had a wonderful summer. Definitely missed football, but ready to get back into it. Did a lot of golf, a lot of family time, the typical summer routine. So, ready to dive back in and, get some more subscribers, get some more likes, continue to do our thing. Our fifth year here at Garage Takes. A little rusty on that. Yeah, man, excited to dive back in.
And speaking of, if you haven't already, do us a huge favor on that Garage Takes channel. Hit that like, follow, subscribe button. We are all over Michigan football and the Detroit Lions. So, with that being said, let's hop right into it. So, Brant, look, Michigan's 2024 season, let's just rewind some months here, okay? Was an absolute disaster. And then, I don't know, it just to jog your memory a bit, it was like the Bryce Underwood major flip commitment came to Michigan, and it was like this entire program picked up momentum and energy under Sherrone Moore's first year. I mean, and truthfully, it was a disaster. No quarterback. The offense was a mess. Will Johnson gets hurt. Colson Loveland gets hurt. Then all of a sudden, you get the Bryce Underwood commitment. There's some life. There's some excitement in this program. You beat Ohio State right after that. Well, actually, if memory serves me correctly, you beat Northwestern, blow them out. You beat Ohio State, and you go on to beat Alabama. And then the recruiting trail has been incredibly hot for this program. And it's like everything, the trajectory the arrow is pointing up. And so I kind of want to just start there and just an overall state of the program. Brant, where are you at with Sherrone Moore, year two, this Michigan team? Bryce Underwood being the quarterback at the helm. Just overall, give me your pulse on this team heading into the 2025 season.
Dave, I think it started with obviously the Bryce Underwood connection, but let's not understate how important the Chip Lindsey hire was. I think that also, the decision to move on from Kirk Campbell, you bring in a guy like Chip Lindsey, immediately takes command of the room. He's been a great OC wherever he went. And really, that is a springboard for what we expect this offense to be. And having a guy with the experience that he carries with him, it's not, Sherrone Moore was pretty inexperienced when he was calling plays. Kirk Campbell experienced when he's calling plays. This guy brings a level of he's already done it to this football team that it really needs. So I wanted to touch on him real quick, and then I also want to touch on Wink Martindale and his second year with this defense. Everything I'm hearing from both of these coordinators is we're good, but we're not great yet. And I love to hear that because it's not just coach speak. Everybody's balling out here. Wink talking about Rod Moore this week about, we're working him in, but he's not there yet. And I think honesty goes a long way with the fans in the summer, that you're not just feeding them everything they need to hear. And we know that Sherrone Moore says this is still a quarterback battle between Mikey and Jaden Davis is in there. Obviously, Bryce Underwood. And I think that there is something to be taken away from that Bryce isn't not just going to be handed something. He's got to earn it, just like every other quarterback has to earn it. But I think that him being there in the spring, Dave, coming right in for the Alabama game, and him being on campus since then has really, I think he's probably taken this offense by storm. But he's still going to have a ton to learn, and it's going to be a maturation process, and it's going to be fun to watch. The program right now under Sherrone Moore is in the best condition it's been since Jim Harbaugh walked out the door. And we're extremely lucky to have, the coordinators that we have and Sherrone Moore as a head coach right now.
Brandon, here's the thing. I mean, yes, the Bryce Underwood excitement is real, and it should be. But Bryce Underwood, still, as we record this, is 17 years old. He's going to take his lumps. He's going to take his bruises. It's going to take some time for this kid to grow into this offense. Yes, you have an experienced coordinator. I would like to think that the arrow is pointing up for this offense. I mean, the bottom line is, Brandon, can't get worse than what it was in 2024. It is only up from here. I would go to, I think the conversation has been so much around the offense because it was so pitiful last year, that I think we're forgetting to talk about this defense. And you lose guys like Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Will Johnson. I mean, these guys are first round draft picks. I know Will Johnson slid, but he, in my opinion, injuries aside, he's a first round draft pick caliber cornerback. Um, this defense is very, very good. They may not, they will not have, not may not, they will not have the star power that they had. They're not going to have two top 15 picks on the D line, but they are deeper than they were last year. There are questions. There's questions in the secondary. I'm not going to downplay that. But even on the defensive line, what Michigan likes to do, what Wink Martindale likes to do, is to rotate guys in. And when you're talking about guys like Derek Moore, like TJ Guy, like Cam Brandt, you bring in transfers like Damon Payne, like from Alabama, Trey Williams from Clemson, the linebacker core, Ernest Hausman, Jayshon Barham. You're hearing Cole Sullivan come on. Bring in a safety transfer like TJ Metcalf, and then Tevis Metcalf, who could play the nickel for Michigan. This defense is loaded, and I think that truthfully, that is what's going to keep Michigan in about every single game. And if you can have a Bryce Underwood come in and minimize the turnovers, but bring some juice to this offense with, in my opinion, being one of the top running back duos, and not in just the Big Ten, but in the country, in Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes, you're going to have something really special brewing here in the Big Ten. And, we'll get into it in later episodes about the schedule and where we kind of think Michigan falls. But I do think that Michigan is just kind of that dark horse team. It's like everything you read on the Big Ten, it's about Penn State, it's about Ohio State, it's about Oregon, it's even about Illinois. But Michigan's kind of they're middle of the tier. No one really knows what to expect of them, especially after what we saw last year. And maybe I need to take off my maize and blue glasses a bit, but I think this team could actually be sneaky good. I'm not saying great, but they could be sneaky good in year one of Bryce Underwood. And I'll tell you, Brant, where they were a year ago with a Brant. Say what you will. I know Sherrone Moore was with the program. I know he stepped in as head coach. They tried to say nothing's changed. It is what it was. It wasn't. And you're kidding yourself if you think it was. You had a whole new coaching staff, right? I mean, you lost most of these guys, Jesse Minter being the most notable. Your strength and conditioning coach, which is like beloved, and Ben Herbert leaves the program. You got to bring in Justin Tress, who's kind of like the younger guy, but like part of that entire program. There was a huge shift in that locker room. And to Sherrone Moore's credit, okay, and I'm not saying last year was a success by any means, but they saved last season from being an absolute disaster by going and doing what they did. And instead of being down on themselves and getting blown out in Columbus in an Ohio State team that was favored by 3 touchdowns, they go in and beat them 13-10 with no quarterback, and then go into a bowl game, which, say what you will, yeah, it was not the college football playoff. That Alabama team was almost full strength. And you bring in Jalen Milroe to go in and play Michigan a second time in 2 years, and you go in and win that game. This team never quit. And that is something I will attribute to a head coach and to the players in that locker room. And so I do think when you run this back a second year with coaching continuity, and I do know that Chip Lindsey is a new face to the team, I think the team is trending upwards. And so, Brand, that kind of leads me to my next question here. Vegas has Michigan set at 9.5 wins, the over-under. Where do you stand right now? Maybe not getting into every single game on the schedule. Do you take the over there? Do you think Michigan gets the 10 wins? Are they a 9-win team? Are they an 8-win team? Tell me your thoughts and why.
Dave, I'm going to step out on a little bit of a limb here. And I'm going strictly off of what Bryce Underwood can be. And I'm going to say we're going to go over. I'm going to say 10-2 on the year. This is in August, shot in the dark, right? We kind of have to do it. This is what the content business is about, man. You got to give a take, and my take is this team is good enough to reach 10 wins. I believe defensively, absolutely. I think this team has a chance to be a top 10 defense, whether it be in scoring points or yardage given up, and I think the offense can be serviceable enough. Dave, you already hit the nail on the head. It can't be as bad as last year. I mean, you literally played the last two games without a quarterback, and I believe that 10 wins, the trip to Nebraska, the trip to Norman, Oklahoma, the trip to USC, those are all going to be big bears to get over. But the home games that you get are a pretty soft schedule. I would say the hardest team that maybe comes into the big house this year, probably Washington. Like if you look at their home schedule, Dave, it's nothing to be scared of. That's for sure. I mean, outside of the game against Ohio State, of course, but not that notwithstanding, I think your toughest game at home will probably be Washington outside of the game against Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Michigan right where you do, which is, of course, I hate to give the same prediction, but I kind of got them at that 10-2 range. I totally 9.5 is the perfect number. This schedule sets up very nicely for Michigan. Challenges that will come will be the fact that Michigan, typically will play 4 or 5 games at home in the Big House before they have to go on the road and get tested. This year, different schedule. They go every other. Michigan does not have back-to-back home games this entire season. Um, yes, week 1, you get New Mexico, night game, but week 2, you go to Norman, you go and play Oklahoma, and you kind of go every other from there, right? It's like you play Central, then you got at home, but then you got to go play Nebraska on the road. You get a bye in there. You got to eventually travel to USC. I think that the schedule sets up nicely for Michigan. We will learn a lot, and I know we are going to get into this throughout the season. We're going to learn a lot about Michigan in that week 2 game against Oklahoma. I'm not predicting them to win that as of just yet because I need to see a little bit first. But I think we'll learn a lot about this team, and I think also that if Michigan can, I'm looking at some key games on this schedule. Okay, it seems weird to say this, Brant. I'm chalking Ohio State up as a win. Look, it's been 4 years in a row. We're going on year 5. Until Ohio State shows me, I don't care if they're national champions or not, until they show me that they can beat Michigan head to head, I'm going to take Michigan to win that game. But I'm looking at some key games on the schedule. I'm looking at Oklahoma. I'm looking at Nebraska. I'm looking at USC, home against Washington, and then the game at Ohio State. It's like, look, man, if you split that, okay, you're in pretty good shape.
You're probably 10-2.
You are.
You're probably 10-2.
You are, and you're knocking on the door of a college football playoff berth, and that's right where I see this team right now as it stands today. So, Michigan fans, let us know right now here, beginning of August, we're in fall camp. Where do you have this Michigan team at? Over under 9.5 wins. Do you think Michigan hits the over? Do you think they hit the under? Let us know and let us know why in the comment section down below here.